All right, welcome everyone. A big hearty hello all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. My name is Curtis Dohaniak and I am a product expert with Replicon. And today I will be your host and guide on our feature webinar presentation, Boost Your Project Costing and Billing with Accurate Time Tracking. So just a quick look at an overview before we get rolling. First, we'll take a look at some of the challenges organizations face when it comes to costing and billing. Then we'll see how Replicon's platform can solve these problems. Afterwards, we'll hop into a very thorough and demonstrative demo about how the Replicon platform works. You'll get to see everything in action. Afterwards, we'll take a look at some customer transformations, and finally, we'll finish off with a Q&A. So some housekeeping before we roll on. Throughout this presentation, you will be on mute, but rest assured, if you have any burning questions that pop into your brain at any time, feel free to submit them into your question box, and I will answer as many as I can at the end of the presentation. So I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to keep the flow going. So yeah, if you have any of those questions, submit them in the question box, but we will get to them at the end during the Q&A period. So at Replicon, not only do we believe that people's time is a strategic asset, but it is their most important asset. Once time is used up, it is gone, and you only have a finite amount of it, so you need to treat it like the precious, precious resource that it is. And how much time exactly do you have available at your disposal? Well, that depends on the size of your organization. So keep this 500 employee figure in mind because we're going to come back to this a little later. But with 500 employees, you are going to have 1.04 million hours available to you in 1 year. With 5,000 employees, you'll have 10.4 million hours available to you annually. And with 50,000 employees, that is 104 million hours available to you in 1 year. And that is so much time, it is almost unfathomable. That is way too much time for one person or even one department to manage. And well, what makes this time so difficult to keep a hold of? Well, one reason is because it is fragmented and tedious. So as you can see with Frankie, our poor Franken system here, he has so many pieces that don't necessarily fit into the puzzle so well. We have ERP that's trying to work with CRM and project management and PSA and HCM and payroll. And these always have their limitations and they might not be able to connect with each other so well. And then on top of that, we have users that are working remotely, working from home, working from the office. But we have all this stuff stored on on-premises hardware, on-premises data, and databases. So this handcuffs poor Frankie, and he is being pulled in so many different directions, and it just makes trying to have one accurate source of our time difficult, to say the least. And this causes many problems. So some of the challenges that you may face from this fragmented and tedious time source is costing and billing delays, low utilization rates, costing and billing errors, inability to plan to capacity, and decreased profitability. And at Replicon, we are always very curious to hear from you folks. So I'm actually going to launch a poll right now. We value our prospects and our customers' opinions so much because it allows us to shape the platform in a way that will make sense for everyone who uses it. So today we want to find out, what do you use time tracking data for? So you can choose as many or as few that apply, but some of the options or all the options would be project and job costing, internal client billing, external client billing, time and attendance for payroll, and tracking employee productivity. And hint, hint, we're going to look at all of these today, but we will let all of these votes roll in. Wow, you guys are on the ball today. We're already halfway through our votes. I'll let everyone else get their clicker fingers going and we'll go over the results in just a few seconds, just so that, yeah, we can understand what we're looking at today. And we'll go just another 10 seconds, get your last minute votes in. You can make a difference with every vote, so do it. And 3, 2, 1. That's a very good turnout. I'm very proud of all of you. So let's end this polling, and I will share my results with you. So almost everyone who voted uses time data for project and job costing. Second place was time and attendance payroll, very important. And then the other 3 had a few less votes, but nonetheless, they're just as important. So we're going to actually take a look at all these different results today and see how they are filtered in through the Replicon Time Intelligence platform. So we at Replicon do know that you have a large, diverse workforce that all needs time data for different reasons. You have finance leaders, you have operations leaders, delivery leaders, resource managers, billing leaders, and HR leaders, and they all need time data. But for what they use this time data for is very different. But what doesn't change is that we need one consistent source of this time data that everyone can pull from, because let's be real, if we're trying to pull from spreadsheets or old software, it can make everything, again, a nightmare. And we don't want that. We want everything to be easy and efficient. So for that, we have Replicon's Time Intelligence Platform, the powerful platform for all of your time tracking needs. So I'm sorry, but you are going to hear me say this a few times today. Might sound like a broken record, but Replicon is so configurable. Every piece of the platform can be changed and adjusted to fit your organization's needs. And this includes size. So Replicon is scalable, whether you are that 10-employee startup or that 100,000 employee behemoth that has already paved their way to success. We can grow with you, not only in size, but in location. So we are global and secure. Replicon has a configured experience that makes every single user, regardless of where they are located in the world, feel like they have a platform that is set up for them. We have multiple locations, languages, currencies, payrolls, time zones, holiday schedules, all the things that you need to accurately track their time, regardless of where they are. And on top of being global, we are mobile. So we have a mobile app where you can track your time, and it is not simply just a port of our desktop platform. It was built from the ground up to create an easy and seamless mobile experience for every user wherever they are. Because realistically, we know tracking your time on the go can be difficult. Either you're trying to remember everything that you did during the day, or you're taking manual notes, and it's just not as efficient. So by allowing our resources, users, and employees to enter their time on the go, we can ensure that this time is being entered accurately, and that you, again, will have this accurate information to pull from later when you need it. And on top of being mobile, we use artificial intelligence to make everything even more simplified across the board, all the way from administrator down to end user. We use artificial intelligence to streamline processes and just allow Replicon to do the work for you so you can spend more time on the things that are important. And finally, we are plug and play, which means that we are an open source API, and we can send and receive information from any program in your ecosystem. So regardless of the setup that you have going in your organization, Replicon will play well and really communicate all the information that you need across the board. And we will not have those Frankie instances that we saw earlier with our Franken system. Replicon can work with your whole ecosystem. And Replicon is a comprehensive suite. So we have a number of different solutions that you can mix and match to make the real configured experience for your organization. Today, we're going to be focusing mostly on time and billing, but by no means is that exhaustive. If you see any of these solutions that really pique your interest, feel free to get in touch with us and we can give you some more demos of these in action. And I will be doing more webinars on the weekly basis about things like time and attendance, workforce management, paid time off, project resource management, and project time and costing. So here's just a quick overview of everything we will see in the demo today. We're going to take a look at how Replicon can help you with accurate project time tracking, boost your real-time estimates versus actuals, maximize your billable hours and utilization, help you with project and resource forecasting. We'll demonstrate how global, scalable, and mobile-first Replicon really is. And finally, we'll take a look at some of our powerful analytics and integrations. Now, I know you all are really excited for the demo, but we have one more quiz, not a quiz, this isn't school. We have one more poll that I would like you all to answer again, just so we can tailor the Replicon experience to what you guys are looking for. So today we want to find out, on top of the last question, do you track all your employee hours? So do you track your time against billable projects only? Do you track your time against both billable and non-billable hours? Do you track project and non-project time? Or you just are using the time data for attendance and do not need the details? Now this is really important because sure, tracking your time towards your billable hours is where you're making your money, but this doesn't give you a whole picture of all the hours being used. So maybe you break that down into project time and non-project time, but that still doesn't give you the full picture. So by breaking your time down into billable hours, non-billable hours, and non-project time, you can really get a better understanding of how you are utilizing all of your resources across the board, and therefore increase your utilization rates and increase how efficient your organization is running. So we're getting some more votes trickling in here. I'll give you another 10 or so seconds. I know everyone is really excited to hop into the demo, so we will get to that in just a second here. And there is a clear victor. Well, I guess it's not victor, it's just information, so no one wins or loses. We're all just gaining valuable information. But I'm going to end this poll last vote right now, and I will share my results with you. So most of you track all project and non-project related time today. So we are going to really dive into that and see how Replicon can not only help you track this time, but transform it. So I'm going to stop this share, and I know this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to hop into the platform. So at Replicon, we know that you have so much information that is being fed into your organization. You have hours, you have costs, and you have expenses that you all have to manage. Then on top of that, your hours are broken down into billable time, non-project time. Some hours are making you money and some hours are costing you money. So at Replicon, not only do we want to help you keep track of all these hours, but we want to transform them and display them in a way that makes sense for your organization. One of the ways we do this is through our dashboards, and our dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of every single point of data that you have entered in Replicon. As you put information into the system, they will be updated here in real time. So you don't have to worry about lag. You will know exactly what every single point of data that you have entered into the platform means for your organization. So at a high level, we can actually just capture all your hours. We know which of your hours are for work time, which of your hours for time off, which of your hours are over allocated. But we can drill down a little bit further into those work time hours and see which of those hours are not project time and non-project time, and get an idea of your overall productivity. But even further, we're going to want to break that down even more to understand our utilization. So a good utilization rate that we should be aiming for is about 70%. And that is essentially your project billable hours. But now in this instance, we can see that even though we do have a 91% or 89% productivity rate, we only have a 57% utilization rate because our non-project time is really eating into our efficiency of the amount of hours that we're working on billable time. And if we want to understand how we are spreading our hours out even further, we can drill down into our utilization analyzer. And this will actually break down our utilization across our whole organization. But if we want to hone in a little bit more, we can drill it down into specific departments, and then we can see the sub-departments within them. We can also take a look at each individual user and understand exactly how they are spending their time. Again, so we can continue to improve our resourcing and understand where our weaknesses may lie. And then to take that even a step further, if we want to understand how this utilization is affecting individual projects, we can drill down into our project analyzer. And this gives us a summary of well, right now we have it for the top 10, but we can take a look at every project within our organization, and we can see where some problems may lie. And obviously, glaringly, we can see that dashboarding is not looking so good. Our billable hours are much less than our non-billable hours, and that is not good. We have three actual runaway projects right now that we really need to rein in before things get too dire. But how is all this information captured? Well, you're going to be excited because I know this is the moment you've been waiting for. The actual platform reveal in Replicon. This is where we capture all the data that we are talking about today. So if we're going to be logging time towards projects, billable hours, non-billable hours, the like, we are going to need a project in the system. And we can get these started in a couple of ways. If you have your own CRM program or project planning program, tongue twister, I did it today, like Microsoft Projects, for example, you can actually import all of your data and it will be displayed and visualized just like you see here. But if you don't have CRM or project planning program, that is okay too, because we can create these projects directly from Replicon itself. So like I said before, Replicon, very configurable. We can make these projects exactly what you need them to be in every instance. So right off the bat, we're given options like billing type, billing rate, time period, time and expense entry, total contract value. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We know that these projects are in flux, they're changing, they're evolving, and they're growing. So we want to be able to keep up with any of these changes in your organization. One of the ways we do this is through our project info tab here, and we will actually have access to all sorts of different metrics that we can change. So we can change our CapEx, OpEx, time and expense entry, invoice currency, total contract value, estimated hours, cost, and expenses. We have full control over these projects, and we can make them exactly what they need to be in every single instance. And to better understand how our time is going to filter through these projects, it's good to look at the structure and how they are formatted within Replicon. So first, we'll start at the top, and that is our programs. And our programs are the larger initiatives within an organization. Essentially, they are a group of projects. At the bottom, we can have as little as one project all by itself, but we can also have programs with as many projects as we see fit. All of these things that you will see within Replicon more than once are tables. So tables, We can sort through different metrics. We can make whatever we want visible or invisible. And once we have set our tables, we can actually sort through them so we can make our information available to us exactly the way we need it. So in this instance, maybe I want to find out a little bit more about my largest program. I can see business intelligence practice has 9 projects. I want to drill down a little bit further. If I see this lovely blue font, that means I can click on any one of these metrics and get a host more information. So in this instance, I will be given a list of all the projects in this program. I can see my projects that I am a manager of. I can see projects in progress. I can see completed projects, and I can see archived projects. And it is so important that we are giving you access to all of your projects, because we make our organizations better by understanding from our past successes and failures. So if we can drill down into our past projects and see exactly where things went well or where things went wrong, we can fix things up and really make it easy to understand how we can improve in our future planning processes. So I do see some questions popping up in the Q&A. Like I said before, I will get to those at the end of the presentation. Hopefully it's not an audio issue or anything, but I have my handy dandy sidekick, Rahul. He'll let me know if anything's going wrong, but I will get to all of your questions at the very end of the presentation. So hang tight, don't worry, I'm not ignoring you, just trying to keep the flow going. So, and again, our programs will have a host of information available to you. Actually, our project level even has more information that we can make visible. And again, we can sort through all this, make whatever metric we want visible. But in this instance, I want to drill down even further so I can actually see that, well, financial data reporting fixes, it looks to be our most expensive project in this program. So I am going to drill down even further. And once we drill down into our projects, we will be given a host of information on things like hours, cost, and billing on a daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. And from there, we're even given a few more options that we can change through, like billing versus cost or actuals versus estimates. In this instance, we're going to take a look at billing versus cost. So these charts are updated in real time. So just like the dashboards we saw before, anytime a piece of data is entered into our system, and if it's relevant to this project, it will be updated here. And this is really important because we want to see every single action and how it affects this given project. So here we can see our billing versus our cost is looking nice. We have a lot of billables being logged and not so much for the costing. We're kind of keeping on track. This is good. This most likely means that this project is profitable. And we can kind of continue on the track we're on. But if we move our histograph over here, we can see there's something funny going on over here. Oh yes, we have really increased our costs and our billing is at an all-time low. So this kind of gives us the story of 2 different points of this project. One point where we're flourishing and one point where we're struggling. And once we actually start planning this project, we can actually look into the future and see where these costs might be skyrocketing and where our billing might not be so extensive as we saw previously. So this allows us to start course correction before things get too dire and really just understand the health of every single project at a glance. But we do understand that logging time towards these big generic projects isn't all that useful because, well, projects are complex, they have so many moving parts, and we want them to be so much more than just a little tick box on your timesheet. So we break our projects even further down into the nice digestible chunks of tasks. And these tasks can be further broken up into subtasks and sub-subtasks. Really, you can make whatever task tree makes sense for your organization. On top of that, we can assign all of these task estimates. And these estimates are important for a couple of reasons. One is they really allow us to understand exactly where in the completion process this task is. So for our interview, we can see we are 46% or 46 out of 50 hours, so 92%. And if we are in fact almost done, we can start wrapping things up and move our time towards other tasks. On the flip side, oh, implementation. How much problems you are causing us right now. We can see we are way over our estimated time, and this is not good. This is a really good indicator that we need to wrap up this task because we are hemorrhaging time and no one wants to be stuck on something. So we need to start wrapping this up. What these estimates really allow us to do also is understand where our strengths and weaknesses lie. So if we are looking at our user training and we are consistently coming in under our budgeted time, then that's a good indicator that we can lower those estimates in the future, and this will affect our project costing. On the flip side, if implementation is consistently the thorn in our side, we can increase that estimates so we're not blowing our actual and estimate budget for our cost out of the water, and that we can continue to work efficiently and plan our projects more effectively in the future. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects, but now we are going to need a team working on them. and this may come as a shock, but this is done in the Team tab. And our Team tab highlights every single person assigned to this project. This can be exposed on a single user basis, or you could expose everyone in an organization if you wanted, whatever makes sense. But what this really exemplifies is the permission-driven nature of Replicon. So let's take, for example, Tammy Benson. If Tammy Benson is assigned to this project, she won't be able to see any other projects in this program if she's not assigned to them. On top of that, Tammy Benson will only be able to use the project information that she is given access to. One example of that would be billing rates. So in this project, billing rates can be added or subtracted on the fly. We can actually adjust the billing rate. Maybe there's changes in how things are going, and we need to adapt to those changes as they happen. On a team level, we can actually assign these billing rates on an individual, or again, we can expose them to everyone in the organization. But what this really allows us to do is control exactly what every single resource is available to see and what they can log their time towards. Because we want to control everything, right? We don't want any room for error. We want everything to be snappy. We want everything to be accurate. So by having these permissions in place, we can really ensure that everything is streamlined for everyone involved. And these permissions drill down even further into our user roles. So user roles are a assigned set of permissions that can be assigned to any user. In this instance, we're going to actually look at our client representative. So Stacy Olson doesn't actually work for us. She is one of our clients, but she still needs to approve timesheets on all the projects that we work with her on. So we can give Stacy access to our Replicon. She can log in, and if she needs to take action, she'll get a push notification or an email, and she can log in and peruse all these timesheets. She can approve or reject them as she sees fit. And then when Stacy's ready to go, she can log out, and this approval process will continue on down the chain. Now, what is important to note is that Stacy does not have access to anything in Replicon except these timesheets. She only has access to this team type. Her Replicon instance is very bare bones. So we are ensuring the security of your instance and the security of your data, not only internally, but externally. So you can ensure that all of your Replicon information is safe at any given time. And I'm actually just going to hop back to that team tab because while it is important to understand who is working on a project, we also need to see how they're spending all of their hours. And this is done through our allocations tab. So our allocation tab highlights exactly where everyone is spending their hours on this project. So if we hop over here, we'll see a couple different colors, our little Replicon rainbow. I'll explain to you what these different color codes mean. So blue is hours allocated to this project. Gray are hours allocated to other projects. This green, and I keep going back and forth, I'm going to say, we'll call them both green. Those are hours allocated to holidays and time off. Now, what we really don't want to see, especially when we have these open white spaces, which mean no allocation, is these little red triangles. That means a user is over-allocated. Over-allocation usually means overtime, and overtime means, I know, increased costs. And that is not what we want to see. So we want to try avoid this as best as we can. And as we saw previously, recently, this project has been running into some tough times. We haven't been doing a lot of billable hours logged. And, oh, shocking. That is because we actually have no one assigned any hours on this project. So I think it is time to get things kick-started. So I can go ahead and add a user. Our add user screen will allow us to understand exactly how everyone is allocated across our organization. But this can be really daunting because this is a lot of information being fed to us. And we just need one person on this job. So that is why we have our filters, and our filters cover things like department. In this instance, I'm going to need someone with a very specific set of skills. I don't think Liam Neeson is working for us, so I'm going to have to find someone else. But I can sort through Sage architects, for example. And if I have more than one Sage architect, we can actually rank them, and they will be given a ranking from 1 to 3. 1 being someone who's new, costs a little bit less, but is good for those entry-level jobs, or someone with a 3-star who is our expert, like Alex, and they will be assigned to our most prestigious projects. Also, in this instance, I want someone from North America because we want time zones to line up. We don't want anyone staying up late or waking up early. We like to keep our schedules as they are. And looks like Alex Chu is the person for the job. Let's go ahead and add Alex. You're on the team. And once we actually add Alex, assigning his hours is just as easy. So we really need him to start next week because things are not looking so great on this project. So we can assign him a number of hours per day, total hours per week, and very useful is a percentage of his available hours. So like we saw before, we want to ensure that we are maximizing every single one of our resources. But we don't want to be over allocated. So by assigning a percentage of his available hours, regardless of where he's assigned on other projects, where his vacation time is, we can ensure that we are resourcing our resources to 100% of their maximum utility without spending extra money on overtime or spreading our resources out too thin. They understand exactly what they should be working on and have their schedules laid out for them. So once we assign Alex's hours, this will have reverberations again throughout the platform. Alex has a cost assigned to him. This can be normalized based on the project. But once we actually assign his hours, our estimates and actuals for cost will be updated not only in that histograph that we saw earlier, but on our dashboards, on our reports, everything will be updated in real time. So you can see the reaction for every action that you take within the platform. And to really understand how this utilization can help you to be more efficient as an organization, let's take a look at some instances where we haven't maximized our utilization. So we can see here that Tammy Benson, only 32 hours, 8 hours not utilized, 36 hours here, 4 hours not utilized. Imagine if we were able to use Replicon to find 1 extra billable hour per resource per week per year. So let's take away those 2 weeks for vacation. Maybe they have more, but we'll say 50 weeks at an average billing rate of $300 per hour. That's $15,000 extra billable hour dollars for 1 resource for a year. Now, if we multiply that across our 500 resource user base, that is $7.5 million of extra billable dollar hours that we have found just by finding 1 extra billable hour per week. Now imagine instances like this where we're able to locate 8 or 4 more extra billable hours, how much more efficient we could make our organization. And to really understand this efficiency, we can drill down even further into our resources tab. So like our add user screen, our resource tab will show you every single resource and how they are assigned during any given month, day, week. We can really understand the breakdown of every user in our organization. So yeah, we can pull down their whole histograph and see exactly what projects they were assigned to on any given month. And maybe we want to do a little bit of research and understand why our costs shot up during a specific month. We can go ahead and see how many users were over allocated. If we want to find that more information on a specific project, again, we can drill down into our financial data reporting fixes and see what happened during any specific time period so we can really understand how we can improve our resourcing in the future, again, to make us a more efficient organization. But there will be some instances when we don't exactly know who we're going to need on a project or how many resources we will need. Maybe we're still in the planning project phases and we're still just trying to suss things out. For that, we have our placeholder resources. So just like our regular resources, our placeholder resources can be assigned a cost, they can be assigned skills, and we can start slotting them into a project so we can have that cost estimates updated in real time. And once we get a better understanding of how much a project is going to cost, we can decide how many users we're going to either need to train, hire, or if we already have the user base that we need, and we can start sliding those resources in real time. And we don't have to worry about any of our data being skewed because we've already done all the calculations, we've updated everything, and we know exactly how much we are going to be spending on this project. So we have looked at how we plan our projects, how we staff them, and now is the fun part. We get to log our time towards them. And Replicon calls ourselves the time intelligence company for a reason. We do time so well. I'm giving myself a pat on the back right now, but you can't see it. But Replicon has so many permutations of different timesheets that we could feasibly create a different timesheet for every single user in your organization, regardless of how big it is. One of these days, I really want one of our engineers to do a breakdown and see exactly how many permutations of timesheets we have. The one you see here is actually a little bit more of a project-oriented timesheet, so you can see I actually have quite a bit going on here. But I can log my time towards a specific program, project, task, and very important to note, if you are an organization with hundreds of different job codes, these are searchable, and in tandem with our permissions, you can really hone in on exactly what your resources are working on, because we know if there is a huge list and you're trying to sort through everything, mistakes can be made on purpose or by accident. And we want to prevent this. Again, we want everything to lend to the ease of time data capture so that all of your time data is accurate, and we are promoting our resources to capture their time. So once I've selected all this information, if applicable, I can choose my billing rate, activity, and then we can go ahead and log our time. So there's a couple of different things going on this page that are important to note too. One is we have this progress bar. So just like on our task tab, we have this progress bar that will fill up in real time, and this will also have reverberation. So when we enter our time in the timesheets, we'll see that progress fill up in that task page. And this is really important because, again, it allows our resources to understand where they should be on a specific task and how far along they actually are. So if they need to start hurrying things up or changing things up a bit. Also on the bottom here, we have our target billable hours. And billable hours are so important because that is where we are making all of our money. And we really want our resources to stay on track and understand how they should be allocating their time. So if we have these target billable hours, they understand exactly what is expected from them on any given month. And maybe month is nearing its end or halfway through and they start to realize, I might not reach my goal. This allows for open dialogue between approvers, supervisors, administrators, and the resources so that they can understand exactly how they can improve their time efficiency, how they can change things up so that they can meet the goals for the organization, so that they're not just hitting the end of the month and trying to understand all this arbitrary work that they did and where this information was coming from. It is all displayed to them as they work on it in real time. So with that, I think I will go ahead and try to submit this timesheet. Holy smokes, 112 hours for this week. Wow, I was working hard. Let's go and see what happens when I try to submit this for approval. So the first thing we will get is this attestation warning. This is an example of validation rules within Replicon. Validation rules are certain parameters that must be met every single time a timesheet is submitted, and these will cover things like minimum hours worked, maximum hours worked, hours during a rolling period, or mandatory break enforcement. And if these parameters are not met, different things will happen. One example of this is we will get one of these attestations. We forgot to accept and submit. Not difficult if it's a little checkbox on the bottom. Sometimes I'm in a rush and I don't always see that, but I will also get this gentle reminder afterwards, and then I can go ahead and accept and submit. So we will let Replicon work its magic. It's obviously going to have to think very hard about this atrocity of a timesheet. Errors popping up like no tomorrow, and we will actually see that this timesheet is, bummer, outright rejected. So this is important because we want to nip all these timesheet errors in the bud. We know how difficult it is going back and forth with resources trying to fix a timesheet. Is this what needs to be corrected? Yes. What do we need to change the hours to? This? Yes. It just is so much stuff to go back and forth and so many different ways that things can go wrong. So by nipping this timesheet error in the bud, we are ensuring that, again, our time being entered is accurate. And what we can also do by having these validation rules is, again, open up dialogue. So here we can see my financial data reporting fixes has exceeded the estimated 150 hours. We can set this threshold to maybe be 100% of estimated hours, 150%, 200%. But instead of this resource continuing to work on this project and continuing to drag out this task, they are forced to open up dialogue with a supervisor or manager. And maybe this manager wasn't aware that this task was causing so many problems, can start to fix things and get things rolling in the correct direction. So we are having so many opportunities to have open dialogue, open discussion, and full disclosure about every single part of a project that you have going on within your organization. And with our timesheets, we do this in a number of different ways. So I'm actually going to drill down into our cost tab. We actually house every single timesheet that has ever been created in the history of your organization in this cost tab. So here we can see not submitted, approved, waiting for approval. They will all be at home in this cost tab here. And this is really important in case there's ever a dispute or audit and you need to go back and check any one of these given timesheets. Also very useful for me as an approver will be this waiting for approval tab. This is letting me know, Curtis, you have a lot of timesheets that are waiting for approval. So if I'm in a busy mood, I can go ahead and approve or reject these in a batch mode. But I see a couple of these validation warnings triggered, and I think I want to dive down a little bit deeper to understand exactly what is going on in all these instances. So first, we'll take a look at Chris DeFonte. Chris DeFonte has a little bit more of a easy to use timesheet. Well, not easy to use, but it's more of a simple timesheet. He's just simply logging the hours that he worked during the day. And for lots of organizations, this is all they need. But what is not perfect with this timesheet is that Chris has entered too much time. So you can see in this instance, Chris was still able to submit his timesheet. Maybe this is an egregious error. Maybe this excess hours is something that happens on the regular, and we just need to review them before it's submitted. There's a couple things we can do if this timesheet is incorrect. One is I can always go back and change the hours on this timesheet. Everything that is changed will be logged in this approval history on the bottom. So again, in case of audit or dispute, we can always go back and understand exactly what happened on a timesheet. But like I said before, we want to put the onus on the end user. So I can actually give Chris permission to reopen his timesheet, adjust the hours as necessary, and he can go fix everything and It'll be, again, logged in this approval history. And this saves so much time for our approvers because, again, we want to be focusing on the important work, the billable hours, and we don't want to be going back and forth trying to police every single user. Why police the users when we can let Replicon do that for us with our validations and our permissions? And we actually saw too with our timesheets that we saw another validation warning triggered here with Rania. Rania has 6. Oh boy, this should be exciting. Let's see what's going on with Rania's timesheet. So Rania's timesheet is a little bit more of an example of a custom timesheet. She's logging the hours that she worked exactly during the day, as well as her activity, task, and project. But Rania also has a couple custom fields at the end here. One of those being comments. And comments right now are especially important, especially if we have users working remotely or working from home. We might not be in touch with them every day, and we want to understand where their successes were, where their struggles are. So by having this comment field, we can stay up to date with how our resources are doing. That is if they fill it out. And Rania forgot to fill it out. So she triggered one of these validation rules. Maybe we have a discussion with Rania explaining the importance of entering this field. And next week, if she forgets this, we can actually change this validation warning to reject her timesheet so she knows, okay, I really do need to change my habits and start entering these comments. The other custom field we'll see here is mileage, and this could say mileage, this could say units completed. It could be photo proof of the work done during the day. You have full control over every single one of these timesheets, what they display and how they look. And not only can you control them on an individual user basis, but you can actually change them on a weekly basis. So maybe Rania is working from home this week, but next week she's back at the office and she needs a different timesheet to reflect that scenario. With Replicon, we give you the flexibility to adjust these timesheets whenever for whoever to make sure that their time entry is as easy as possible. And we wanted this ease of use to transfer over to our mobile app. So just give me a moment while I switch my screen over here and I will launch the app. So we wanted Replicon to be not only an extension of our desktop platform, but a reimagining. So that is, it is easy for every single person involved to use. And this starts off with Chatbot. So Chatbot will greet us when we open the Replicon app. Chatbot can help us streamline processes. Chatbot can answer questions. And Chatbot, you're looking really cute today, but I'm sorry. We are focusing on time and billing. We will have to pay attention to another day. So just like our desktop platform, we have our timesheets available to us. We can actually drill down into any given day. We can log our time towards specific programs, projects, tasks. So basically everything that you had available to you on the desktop platform is available mobile. And this really ensures that we are entering time regardless of when it's happening, and really streamlines the process because realistically, people are not sitting by a computer at all times. So we wanted to ensure that everyone has access to Replicon regardless of where they are. And this transfers over to our approvers. So our approvers will have this handy dashboard that will tell them of any items that need action. They will get, again, a push notification or an email of anything that needs to happen into this platform. And I can drill down into every single one of these timesheets and see exactly what's going on. So with Tammy, we can see that she has kind of regular hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, 40 hours for the week. No validation warnings triggered. Perfect. We can go ahead and approve Tammy's timesheet. But if we want to save everyone a little bit of time, we can actually set this timesheet to approve automatically. So having those validation rules in effect really allow for us to ensure that our time being entered is accurate. And if everything is business as usual, this timesheet can approve automatically. And just think of how much time you are saving on this non-project time by not having to go through every single timesheet in your organization. Even if you have 20 timesheets, it's a lot of work to look at every single timesheet. So having this smart approval process really ensures that we are expediting this process for everyone involved. And maybe you don't like smart approval. Maybe you still want to go through every timesheet. That's okay. We can actually set up smart approval processes that have 1 user checking through a timesheet, 2 users, 13 users, whatever makes sense for your organization. So far we have looked at how we are planning our projects, how we are staffing them, and how we are logging our time towards them. We have done so much work, we need to get paid for it now. And we manage all of our billable hours in the billing tab. So our billing tab will give us a summary of every single billable hour and its state within our organization. So we can see which of our billable hours have not been invoiced, which are in the draft state, and what has been paid for. And if we're ready to go and start invoicing, there's a couple of ways we can do that. One, if we have our own invoicing program like QuickBooks, Sage, Intact, we can actually sync these invoices directly to that program and do all our billing from there. Otherwise, if we don't have our own invoicing program, we can actually invoice directly from Replicon itself. So all of our invoices can be customized and configured. We can make them exactly what we need them to be. We can change logos, color schemes. And on top of that, we can drill down into each one of these invoices and adjust any of these line items. So if our project runs a little long, we can add some hours on and we can see the reflective change right here. We can also add time line items, expense line items, fixed bid line items. We can create new line items, add discounts. We can make this invoice to be exactly what we need it to be. And when we are ready to go, we can email directly from Replicon. We can issue the invoice and we can see its state here. And this will be updated again in real time in our Replicon platform in a bunch of different ways. So as we saw today, we looked at how we plan our projects, how we staff them, how we log our time towards them, and how we get paid for all the work we've done. We have been putting a lot of different information into our system, and this only skims the surface. So we want to understand all this information and display it in a meaningful way. And one of the ways we do that is through our dashboards. Like we saw before, dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of all of your data. They give us a nice visual representation and are perfect for exporting into slideshows, presentations for leadership, or just giving anyone who wants to understand how the organization is doing a quick glance at company health. And all these dashboards, we can drill down. We can actually adjust things on the fly, change what we have visible. We can change the type of chart that we're seeing. We have full control over these dashboards. And if we want to find out a little bit more, we have all our raw data up here, but maybe I want to understand a little bit more about our customer billing system. Again, I can drill down even further and see where my billables are coming from on a user-to-user level. So Tammy Benson, good work. You were logging a lot of billables. I'm sure Gabby Mason and Michael Lear are doing a lot of work. It's probably just on another project, but maybe this still warrants a conversation and also allows us to give kudos where they're due. So we are just able to understand our organizational health at a quick glance and identify any outliers with a couple of clicks. Another way we display all this information for you is through our reports. And I'm sure you've seen 3 or 13 or 30,000 reports in your history, and it's because they are so important. They give us all the hardline data behind our organization. So these reports that we see visible are the most requested by our customers, but by no means is this the exhaustive list. We can actually adjust any of these timesheet or reports at any time, and we can add, subtract, and create from the ground up. These can be sent out on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to anyone with an email address, but if we want to, we can also run them on the spot. We'll take a look here at our project profitability analysis as an example. But this takes our total contract value on every project and combines that with our estimated cost and billing and our actual cost and billing, smushes all that together to give us an expected profitability and the actual profitability. And if these two metrics don't quite line up, on the right-hand side of the screen here, we will get this profit alert. That's basically saying, hey, if you want to make money, get things turned around. And this really just helps us to understand exactly how we are doing on any given project at any given time. And we do understand that Replicon may or may not be the only piece of your ecosystem, but we still, as we said before, our open source API want to play well with every other program. So for that, we have connectors to tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Google BigQuery, and they give you a way to export all of your data and display it even more in depth than we saw previously. So like we saw at the beginning of our presentation, we have so much information available to us, and all we have to do to access this is download one of our sample workbooks and log in through a connector, and you will be able to visualize all of your information just like you see here. So not only are we able to track all of your time, but we're able to transform it and display it in a way that allows you to make better business decisions for your company. So that's actually going to bring me to the end of my demo. Before we continue to the Q&A session, we're just going to take a quick review of everything that we saw today, look at some customer transformations, and then it is question time. So as you saw, Replicon has so many benefits. We can help you decrease your revenue leakages, increase resource utilization, and decrease administration overhead, amongst many other things. But what we are doing with Replicon is giving you one accurate and consistent source of time data for your whole organization. And we can see this in example in a couple of our customers. So one is a 300 employee consulting firm. They, I know, don't shudder, but they used manual spreadsheets and homegrown systems, which were not flexible and basically made everything a nightmare. Billing was tough. It was hard to manage their cash flows, and this delayed their billing and affected their profitability. After implementing Replicon, they had one source of truth and were able to pull all this accurate and consistent data when they needed it. This improved their resource management, allowed for better staffing, and created faster and more accurate billing, and reduced timesheet errors by 90%. Another example of a customer we have here is our 800-person computer software company. Now, they used on-premises hardware and software that was not able to keep up with their growth. So when they started, they were smaller, and as they grew, well, their software remained small, and this made everything cumbersome, limited their insight, and made tracking their time towards projects difficult. After implementing Replicon, they were more able to accurate and effectively distribute their hours amongst their projects. This improved their forecasting. When it came to audit time, they were audit proof, and this created a centralized solution for everyone in the organization. So like I said before, Replicon is a comprehensive suite that is made up of many moving parts, and we can adjust these to your organization's needs. If you see anything here or you saw anything else that really piqued your interest today, feel free to get in touch with me. My email is curtis.dohaniuk@replicon.com. Last name's a bit of a tongue twister, so it might be good to copy down any other questions. But again, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate every single one of your time.